Good morning, Grace Church family. How are you? I hope that this weekend has been pretty decent, all things considered. Um, I'm sure some of you are thinking, wow, this whole thing with COVID is pretty crappy. Things aren't the greatest. And I know I'm feeling a little bit down, but I think also just to share with you that last week and over the course of this weekend, it's been a very, very heavy time. There just seems to be a whole lot of things going on all at once. Health concerns for sure are right up there, and other situations, both with people, our church family, people, and also with people outside of our church. And so, feeling human, feeling a little crappy about this, but I know that seeking God and His Word is the place to go. But with all this stuff going on, as a follower of Christ, I was reminded from God's Word that life is really fleeting, isn't it? And so, Psalm 103, verses 15 and 16, I'm going to read that. As for man, his days are like grass. He becomes, he blooms like a flower of the field. When the wind passes over it, it vanishes and its place is no longer known. And in James 4, verse 14, you don't even know what tomorrow will bring, what your life will be. For you are like smoke that appears for a little while, then vanishes. If we are blessed to live a long life on this earth and not have something else cut our lives short, essentially, though, all of our lives are still like a blooming flower or like smoke. We are here today and gone tomorrow. And this is really a very sobering thought, isn't it? A sobering reality. And COVID, I think, has certainly shown us the very brevity of life itself. And the second thing that God's Word was reminding me is how, again, we as believers, how we are to spend our time, because God's Word does have a lot to say about this. Specifically, I'm going to give you a couple of verses here. Ephesians 5, verses 15 to 17 says, therefore, be careful how you walk, not as unwise men, but as wise, making the most of your time, because the days are evil. So then, do not be foolish, but understand what the will of the Lord is. And also in James 4, verses 13 and 15 to 17 says, come now, you who say, today or tomorrow, we will travel to such and such a city and spend a year there and do business and make a profit. Instead, you ought to say, if the Lord wills, we will live and also do this or that. But as it is, you boast in your arrogance, and all such boasting is evil. Therefore, to one who knows the right thing to do and does not do it, to him it is sin. Again, as believers, these verses tell us to be wise by making the most of the time that you have, to understand what the will of the Lord is for your life. And this can only happen by including Him in our plans and submitting those plans to Him. Boasting, which is excessive pride and self-satisfied talk of our own plans, is called evil, and we should not engage in doing this. And lastly, we should do the right things. Don't make choices don't make choices, bad choices, things that will lead you to do the wrong things, because this too is sinful and we shouldn't do it. And I know that God is using COVID. He's using it for many things, but I think above all, that He's giving us all a very serious wake up call and reality check, to reflect on ourselves, to reflect on the way that we are living our very lives. And I want to ask you, are you living all in for God? I speak from my own experience to say that there is no sweeter way and that is more life-giving than to live for God. And I'm going to give you 4 verses that really speak to that, and I hope you will really grasp those and take those to heart, and because it's true. It really is true. Psalm 34 verse 8 says, "Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good." Psalm 119 verse 103 says, "How sweet your words to my oh my goodness, how sweet are your words to my taste. Yes, sweeter than honey to my mouth." And Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for calamity, to give you a future and a hope." And finally, in the last verse, Psalm 16 verse 11 says, "You will make known to me the path of life. In your presence is fullness of joy. In your right hand there are pleasures forever." Did you hear all those good things in those verses? And I pray that you will make the most of the time that you have and realize that you can experience everything that these verses tell us and so much more. And the only place to go to find out is right to God's Word. So on that note, I pray that you will all have a super week ahead. And so God bless you, God keep you, and I will see you again next week. Bye for now.